What's going on, all you cordyceps survivors? Your two favorite apocalypse survivalists are back again, once again, and we're here to talk about once again and go over the entire first season. And we have our review for you tonight. We are talking about the HBO Max original series based on the number one hit video game series on the PlayStation. We are talking about Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin's The Last of Us.
It might not be her father, but you're someone's. You trust me?
That's right. These wild video game enthusiasts are back. We wanted to share our thoughts on the first season of The Last of Us that debuted on HBO Max. Being huge fans of the video game series, we're really looking forward to this in the hands of the guy Chernobyl that was also on HBO. Really fantastic show out there, but really great hands. And then also having Neil Druckmann, the guy behind the video game, helping out with the show. It's going to stay true to the video game and the source material. And they really did in this series. The first episode, it kind of sets it up, how everything comes to happen with Joel, his brother, and then what happens to his daughter leading up to him years later, surviving everything going on in the world and meeting up with young Ellie.
Yeah, from week to week, we got a different, take on the whole apocalypse and the whole, epidemic of what happens with this fungal virus. And after we're introduced to it in the first episode, we meet different factions and groups of people and, different walks of life. And that's what this show really did. It showed you different people who were able to survive and how they survived. And, the common theme throughout the whole thing was, they had to stick together, if they had people close to them and people that they loved, stick close together. That kind of keeps you alive. It keeps you motivated to, keep surviving, finding food, caring for your family and those that you love. And that's kind of the story with Joel and Ellie. Joel lost his daughter. We saw that in the first episode. Really heartbreaking to see. And then, we see him, meet Ellie for the first time. And at first, they're kind of at odds. They don't really like each other. He sees her as like a little brat, basically. But, with her being seemingly immune to the cordyceps fungus, he has this mission in mind. And, the first handful of episodes, it's them getting to know each other. And, over the course of these 9 episodes, they really, took a liking to each other and really started to trust in each other. And, really it became the relationship that was keeping them alive and, basically seemingly a way to maybe keep humanity alive, with Ellie having the, holding that key to that.
Throughout this series, they embark on this journey, trying to return young Ellie. And then throughout the episodes, you kind of get backstories of all these different characters. Ellie has her own episode with this girl, and basically how she is born basically into this whole crazy apocalypse, and how her character develops and becomes this young little bratty teenager. And Joel's backstory with his daughter and brother goes on Wyoming, and he's up in the East Coast essentially, and they're trying to embark on this journey to get from point A to point B. And everything they come across is really fantastic. All the great aspects of the video game, there's the scenery, the scope of the show. It's just a beautiful looking show, much like the video game, and how everything is deteriorated. It's crumbling from this sort of apocalypse going on with this fungus, and really keeps you on the edge of your seat for the most part. You're not sure what's going to happen next, and you see all these cool clickers that you love from the video games, the clicking sound, and it really freaks you out. And then a lot of great practical effects in the show with a lot of different creatures and things. They're deformed, and the big bloater that costs like $500,000 with all the practical effects just looks amazing. And it really brings you into this world, and it really rips your heart out.
They did a great job adapting this from the video game and making it look like, straight from the video game. The big scenes where the sun's shining and you see the green grass, and the last episode where we saw the giraffe, straight from the video game when they're walking through the abandoned museum in the water. We got that. So, it's very faithful. It changes some things, but the changes, honestly, it's not going to make you not like the show. They're made in a way that makes sense to the story. and I understand why they did it. Differences like, with the cordyceps virus, where it, happening from a bite in the game. Now it's more of, the cordyceps virus, it has roots, taking roots and coming out of the mouth, and how all the fungus is in the ground. So and everything's kind of connected. They're connected through this cordyceps fungus. And, when you step on the ground, it kind of sends a signal to all the other fungi and all the other, infected people. So it wakes up the horde that could be, a half mile or more down the road. So I really thought it was interesting that the choices that they made, the changes that they did make from the game, for the most part, didn't take away, really adapted, very well from the game. Obviously, with Craig Mazin working directly with Neil Druckmann, working with each other to find out how they can do this show, and really focus on the characters, because that's what they're doing here. It's not just like a Walking Dead where we're going to show you a cool zombie every episode necessarily, but what they wanted to do is incorporate that story between Joel and Ellie and all the characters that they come across and all the people they meet. And also, make it have meaning when they did show, the new kind of clicker infected, and really that made it tense, because there's a lot at stake, and you really felt, the stakes were high. And it really elevated the story. When something happened like that, it really stood out and it made it more meaningful. Whereas, the later seasons of The Walking Dead, I just kind of started feeling like, let's, shoot some zombies. There was no feeling anymore. There was not, you didn't really care as much about the characters anymore. Whereas this gave you just enough to keep you invested, give you a glimpse of, some of the stuff that we're going to see in the second season and everything, where they're going to, show you more of the different kind of infected that we didn't get to see in this first season.
Yeah, and it's really laying the foundation here and getting a glimpse of what's to come in the future seasons. I know it's greenlit for season 2, but I would love to see this at least 4 seasons. I think it should be about a decent amount just to iron out the story, as we know with the second video game and what happens there as Ellie gets older. They have a lot they can do with this, but overall, I was very impressed with the first season. One of my most anticipated shows of 2023, obviously being on HBO. Pedro Pascal popping up and everything, old Mando behind us playing Joel. I was a little worried about that because he looks like him a little bit, but not so much. But I think he really played the character much like the video game character. He did a great job with that. And then Bella Ramsey, of course, didn't look like Ellie, but I think she had the whole attitude of Ellie from the video game. So I thought she did pretty good, just didn't look like her. But they played off one another really well, like a father and daughter. As the episodes progress, you see their bond get tighter and tighter, and Joel will do anything to protect Ellie, as like a father would do. Especially in the last episode, it kind of goes buck wild and starts flipping out, but he does it for good reason and trying to get Ellie somewhere.
I really enjoyed this series. I liked the second episode where we met Nick Offerman and Marie Bartlett, where they were the gay couple living and surviving. It was something that they did to really bring you into the universe, to show you a different perspective of how these people survived. And this couple that we only saw like a glimpse of during the game, we only met the one character. We only saw a picture of the other one, but really what they did with that, and bringing a human look, and getting us to be able to see that snapshot in time and what it must have been like to have to survive and, be a survivalist and do what they had to do to survive in this time is pretty cool. And see their relationship grow throughout the episode, and then see what happens at the end and how that sprung the story of Joel and Ellie forward too. It wasn't just done to make a great hour of television, but it really, set the stage for the rest of the season. But yeah, like you mentioned, Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey, while they don't look like the characters, their acting was phenomenal together. And as each episode went through and they, learned more about each other, like when Ellie learned about Joel and what happened to his daughter, and you could kind of see that, just not even in their acting, but like the expressions on their faces when they recognize things, and when Joel saw glimpses of his daughter and Ellie looking at Ellie, and the way Ellie over the season really, toughened up. She had to do some crazy things to survive. And the episode where she kind of went crazy herself and had to use that rock to kill the guy. And, just every week they came across something crazy and brutal that they had to survive. And in surviving together and fighting for each other, they were able to, survive on as the show went. But I really thought both of them did a great job. Wouldn't be surprised to see both of them nominated for their performances on the show for sure.
come Emmy season. Maybe they'll rack
Yeah.
up a few awards. Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see that happening. Overall, the scope, everything, cinematography, directing, the performances, story, script, everything, it just really captured the environment that we fell in love with in the PlayStation games, and just not really knowing, in the future it's going to be turned into a TV show. So super excited about that, and glad they brought this to the small screen with HBO, and looking forward to the future seasons. My favorite episodes is the first one that really sets it up. Episode with Nick Offerman. I like the episode with young Ellie, like her backstory and her relationship, and the one with the cannibals. I think that was the same one. The last few episodes are probably really good too. Overall, I think it was like 7 out of 9 that I really enjoyed. There's 2 like filler episodes that didn't really have much going on, but overall just solid first season. So that being said, I'm into the first season of The Last of Us streaming on HBO Max. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. Pedro Pascal hair pieces.
Everything looked great. I loved how they adapted this from the game. Beautiful cinematography, like you mentioned. Beautiful, faithful adaptation of the game with making some changes, but nothing that deterred from what was going on the screen or taken away from anything that happened in the video game. If anything, they enhanced it. Led by 2 great performances from Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey. I look forward to seeing more of them together, seeing Ellie, play a couple of years down the road, an older version of what we saw in this first season. I think she's going to be even more badass in the second season. And we're going to see Joel, a little older, weathered, and, kind of like the older, proud dad who Ellie's going to have to, take care of and, watch over more in the second season. From what I've heard, they're going to adapt the second season. It's probably going to be from the game. It's probably going to be split into a couple seasons. So I think we're at least going to get 3 from what I've been reading. So that's good news. There's going to be more. The way that the cordyceps virus and the way the bloaters and the clickers and everything looked just phenomenal. I love that. The makeup and the design rack up some awards too, for sure. Some of that was just phenomenal. I watched some of the making of episodes after a couple of those, and just really great work by the people involved in that. Just did a fantastic job. Anyways, I really loved the series. It was great. A few filler episodes, only thing that really took anything away from it. Other than that, if, those 2 fillers were taken away, this would have been, a pretty almost near perfect first season of a television show. With that being said, I am going to give the first season of The Last of Us a 4.5 out of 5 Neil Druckmann hairpieces.
I want to hear from all you wild survivors out there. What did you like about the first season of The Last of Us? What didn't you like about it? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to click subscribe. Also, check out these wild video game enthusiasts on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and our website, Cinephellas.com, for the latest, greatest TV, movie news, and reviews.
So make sure to watch our YouTube channel. We're posting a lot of videos. We're going to have, some great reviews to come. We're going to have an upcoming podcast we're going to be shooting this coming weekend. So stay tuned for that. And we're also going to be wrapping up the Oscars, talking about, the winners, the surprises, and, calling some of the ones that we predicted. Several of our, predictions came true. So we'll be talking about that and looking forward to the next year. And a lot of reviews to come in the next couple of weeks. The month of March is stacked with movies and shows coming out. So thank you guys so much for watching our review of the season 1 of The Last of Us, starring Pedro Pascal, America's daddy right now. Between Din Djarin and old Joel, he's America's sweetheart. And then you have Bella Ramsey playing Ellie, doing a fantastic job. We remember her from Game of Thrones, coming over and doing her thing, really showing that attitude and, giving us a great performance, accompanied by all the great soundtrack from the game, the guitar, the instrumentals. Everything was great. I love the feeling. Love hearing that in the last episode too. Did a great job. We had a great time with this, and we want to hear from you guys what you guys thought about The Last of Us. So thank you for watching, and until the next Cinephellas TV review, I'm Uncle Henry Pascal.
And I'm Logan Ramsey, signing out until the next TV review. Cheers!
Cheers!